Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday, January the 27th, 9 p.m. in the DMV. I'm Sam Giacinto.
And 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles. I'm Jack Armstrong.
And you're listening to Tech Talk Live. We have a very special guest tonight, Anna Gudmundson. She is the co founder of Sensate, a wellness company which aims to improve your sleep and reduce your stress. Two things that are direly needed in today's world. I mean, 2026 needs more, less stress and more sleep. I think we can all agree on that.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be here.
So, absolutely, Sam. Yes. Health is so important in the new year. I know a lot of people have resolutions, getting better sleep, getting more exercise, reducing stress. Can you tell us a little bit about the device that you guys have created, the Sensate device, and how it reduces sleep and improves, your quality of life?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the device goes on the sternum where you get bone conduction. You put on your headphones and you start a session in the app, and the sessions are between 10 and 30 minutes. And so you'll physically feel the sub-audible frequencies in the chest area, and that's harmonized with the sound therapy. So it's like an internal sound bath, like a lot of people describe it. Also, like what is infrasonic or sub-audible sound waves? It's like cat purr is a natural occurrence. And so, yeah, there we got the use case. And so basically it's emulating something that we've been doing for thousands of years, which is getting low frequency vibration into the chest. So omming or chanting. And, a lot of people are doing that today. Obviously, omming in yoga is to tone the vagus nerve and to create both instant relaxation and also long-term improvement. I think we all really have to have a way to self-regulate the system. So if you're good at meditating, amazing. If you already sleep really well, great. But I think everyone needs to look after the nervous system, just like we need to look after, our physical body in general. And we have seen that Sensate is a way to do that people find really, really easy and actually feel genuinely relaxed from the first time they use it, which means that it's very habit forming and sort of easy to continue with.
So these sessions are like they're teaching your body how to focus on breathing exactly?
No, a good question. It's actually doing something to you. And so I think I'm a meditator since many years, and I think meditation, everyone should pursue some kind of meditation practice. Is incredibly valuable. I think the reason I'm so passionate about Sensate and what we do is that where we're at today in 2026, the vast majority, so I think 76% of US adults report chronic stress. And so if I'm too tired or too wired, although I've been meditating for many years, it's very hard for me to get into a meditative state. And it's different because you still get something out of practicing. Like even if you sit down and you really didn't get into a meditative state, but you practice, you get better and better and better. However, sometimes we just need nervous system relaxation. We need nervous system recharge. And so if I'm too tired or too wired or too much in my head, I know, okay, I have a short break. I'm not going to be able to get into a meditative state, although I'm an experienced meditator in this short time frame, and I need recharge, then I'll do a Sensate session. So it's something that you don't really need to do something. That's also why it works when people are really tired or wake up early in the morning or have a lot on their mind. So it is doing something to you. It's helping you relax instead of teaching you how to do it yourself, which all are great. And I'm same thing. I'm a certified alchemy breathwork practitioner. These things actually really work. The point is what people need right now is an easy way and support to get quickly into that recharge state.
So one thing that stuck out to me, and I have to say something, is I think the low frequencies in general, between, as you mentioned, the cats purring, or even just I think the very human pursuit of low frequency sound, whether that be pimping out your car stereo even to feel, there's something visceral about the feeling of a lower frequency. And I don't know, is there a name for that phenomenon, or why that, why are those so interconnected, I guess? Because it just kind of got me thinking. It's like, it's not just, even meditation. You mentioned, chants and other vocalizations. It feels like a wider human phenomenon, and I'm genuinely
First you go
curious.
straight down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, and you'd be the person to ask. So
yeah, no, I think I mean, one of the reasons I originally was interested when my co-founder was working on this is that I think we're entering a really big paradigm where actually we're kind of already working on quantum computers. Like on a physics level, we're already working with the quantum reality and frequency vibration, right? And obviously, that is universal. So I was interested in just exploring how in real world applications, such in health and well-being, like where can we use frequency and vibration? And I mean, sound and even music is absolutely magic. I mean, it's the craziest thing if we think about it. Like we have little frequency bands where these little crazy creatures like start swaying or get more emotional or like get more energy and run faster. I mean, it's crazy. So I think sound waves is arguably our first sense, as when we're in the womb, like experience sound waves. And it is, we get more and more science around it. You can see cell structure aligns with, harmonized frequencies and things like that. So that is a whole new paradigm with a lot of new interesting research is coming out. And I think it's kind of magic. But then on the other hand, it's just like, okay, well, even if certain things aren't yet, we don't know exactly why that it happens is obvious, right? That we are having a relaxing effect, that we are improving biomarkers, all this kind of thing is very clear. And then there is another, and some of it is just like, okay, you got the vagus nerve that goes through the chest, you create a resonance field in the chest. There's certain things, and the vagus nerve controls the stress response. There's certain like very proven things that we've known for a long time. But then I also think there's an additional layer that we are just finding out why this is so intuitive to us and so natural and powerful, actually.
So you just got back from CES. What was your experience like sharing the device? I'm assuming, were you demoing the product there, or just okay? Yeah. What did you notice? Like, were people's first reactions and like how they were enjoying the product?
It was super cool because we've mainly done, we don't do an enormous amount of demos. We're a small team, and we've mainly done sort of wellness conference. And here we are at CES, like it's a massive international tech conference. So most of the people came through our booth and never heard of Sensate. And we did almost 400 sessions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great. Wow.
And we were waking people up every day.
It's time to wake up.
Sleep, even sitting, right? So, and I think what was fascinating was this kind of marvel, like, oh, wow. Oh, that was so relaxing. And people don't expect it because they're walking in a booth that is not sound insulated. Obviously, they get headphones and it's noisy and it's loud, and they sit down and then afterwards, like either been woken up or like, oh, wow, that was really relaxing. So it was great to see. And especially like, they had no expectations. They'd never heard of us when they arrived. So that was a great experience. And we were smack in the middle of the sort of digital health space, and got a lot of footfall, a lot of attention.
So how are you seeing? Like, I am a junkie in terms of, I've got an Oura Ring, an Apple Watch, and they're all telling me that I'm sleeping maybe not optimally. When someone starts using Sensate, like, do they notice like that their data is improving and they feel better? Like, because for example, like I don't know how long I sleep unless I'm tracking it, and it's giving me these insights and awareness. So I mean, yeah, sure, I could trust my body more and truly listen to myself, but like, I feel like because I am such a tech enthusiast and I'm tracking in the health space with all these devices, like, how are you seeing users when they start using Sensate? Like, what are their results? Like, Are they really, like, how is it improving their stress and their sleep? Like, what are there quantifiable ways, like with their heart rate or heart rate variability? Like, what are the metrics that are being tracked? You know, and the most improvement from Sensate?
Great question. So we have a few different sort of, audiences or demographics, audiences, I would say. So if we start with our little nerdy clique, so I think we're all probably in the tech nerd, like optimizer category, right? So we have all our different trackers. We're very data driven, but probably also not struggling to the point where we feel unable to cope. And that is unfortunately the majority of the population on a regular basis. So like that particular stat come out of a study like a few years old, actually before pandemic. And that kind of really touched me, that people actually feel overwhelmed to the point to feel unable to cope. So in our little nerdy demographic, the main use cases are sleep and optimizing various biomarkers. A lot of people use it actually for long-term longevity optimization, vagal nerve improvement. And so, as I mentioned up front, like we all need to have a good way of regulating the nervous system. So, for example, I run an early stage company. I love my job. I'm happy all the time running this company. However, I still need to regulate my nervous system. So it's just important knowing that. So for me, for example, doing just a 10-minute session in the afternoon really improves my overall day score with Aura. I now do a Sensate before sleeping every night because my boyfriend realized the improvement on he's a super tracker. So he was tracking everything. So he got really, really into it. Otherwise, I was typically just doing the afternoon session. Heart rate variability is interesting because it's a very fickle metric. Personally, I feel like sometimes I'm doing everything wrong and my heart rate variability is up, and I'm doing everything right and it's down. For some people, and actually a couple of our investors invested for this reason, literally contacted us and said, I've tried everything to improve my heart rate variability. Nothing has worked. I got a Sensate. It's the one thing has worked. Can I invest? So, but it isn't, I mean, I find heart rate variability one of these like very kind of long-term perspective kind of metrics that are important and also very individual. Some of the things that are very no-brainer from the very first session, we see the heart rate, obviously, respiratory rate, peripheral skin temperature, just a normal downregulation biomarkers. We've also done a study which showed that from the very first session with no prior training, we had a significant increase in theta brainwaves and significant decrease in beta brainwaves, which means that we're shifting the person towards a meditative state from the very first session. And so I think the thing that really excites me, and actually the only reason I'm doing this with my life 24/7, is that the vast majority of people really feel the relaxing effect from the first session. That means that they're not using it because they should. They're using it because they want to. Now we're into the second and a much bigger group of our users, which is general stress, anxiety, overwhelm. And so that group also knows, I should be meditating, I should be doing all these different things. And kind of, it's also almost like an additional stressor. They are not doing a Sensate because, the doctor said I have to, I know I need to. They're like, oh my God, I feel overwhelmed and stressed. Where is my Sensate? And that's amazing and extremely encouraging. And that's sort of the biggest demographic and the biggest audience of ours. Some as well, obviously sleep, about 25-30% of our users. And that is either to fall asleep at night. What's interesting as well, which we learn from our users, that there's this use case of waking up early in the morning and not being able to fall back asleep. And so two things happen. People do their Sensate sessions and either they fall back asleep, very common, or they get this deep rest, which means that when they finally get up, they're actually more rested anyway. And the more you use the product, the quicker you drop into that deep relaxation. And although I'm not actually really target audience, it really happened to me too. Like I used to really drop into deep rest towards the end of the session. And so if I did a 10-minute session, I would get like 3 minutes of deep rest. Now I get 8 minutes of deep rest out of a 10-minute session because I've been using it. So yeah, those are kind of the main use cases.
So this is using infrasonic resonance to tap into your vagus nerve through bone conduction, right?
Yeah, so it's developed to because it's sonic waves, and it sits here, and you're using bone, so that you can get bone conduction. Obviously, it's the same technology as you can have speakers that sit on the back of your skull, and yeah, this part of the body is already built to create a resonance field, like
No,
the chest voice and the projection. So yeah, nothing new there.
Yeah, no, I'm a swimmer, and I use the Zygo headset to play music underwater, and it's bone conducting. Like, you plug your ears, and it really does work. I mean, there is bone conduction is very important. I'm curious, have you guys done, so cortisol is directly linked to stress. Have you guys done any testing on this, like with cortisol?
I would say that's one study that I'm really keen to do. We've done pretty much everything else. And now you start to have much easier ways to measure cortisol. So, and I saw a whole bunch of those at CS as well. So I'm like taking notes. We're going to do cortisol. So no, we haven't done a cortisol study.
Cool. Yeah. That just came to my mind. I was like, yeah, it's never been easier to do those tests. And I feel like you would definitely see results from something
we're
like
actually
that.
We're very partner open, and just putting it out there, if anyone has a group of stress people that are working with, maybe a charity or something, and want to run a test with us, just reach out, because we're very, very interested in those kind of partnerships.
And I think a point to highlight too is the kind of paradox of measurement, where you're optimizing all of your markers of health, and that almost feeds into the same stress. All of these devices, it's like my Apple Watch told me that I had a low respiratory rate when I was sleeping last night. I'm like, oh my god, it's like, so I'm like thinking about it more than at least so I like how the physical form factor of the Sensate is just very approachable, and that it looks friendly, it's in that way,
Yeah, and I was going to say, actually, like, the vast majority of our users are not tracking. And that's a really interesting place to be from a product perspective, which is no one needs a tracker to see if an ibuprofen works, right? And that's where we're at. It's just like, they're not asking. No one's asking, oh, how do I know if it works? Like, no, I know it works. And so that's really, really interesting. And that's where, because unfortunately, I would say most of our users are very stressed. So for me personally, if I'm doing it from an optimizer perspective, I'm fine when I'm doing it before, and then I'm a bit more relaxed after, and I can see the long-term benefits and the fact that my nervous system faster and faster drops into relaxation. But for people that are really feeling very stressed and overwhelmed, it's a very, very important, helpful tool.
You also are currently raising money for Sensate. That's super exciting. Congratulations. What are there big things coming, or can you talk about what's next for Sensate?
Yeah, this is actually a small little round where we're right at break even. So it's just turning that straight into revenues right now. So this is not the big strategic investment. So it's mainly a few family offices. There's a little bit of space left if anyone is super passionate about this field. So family office, private individuals, but it's and a few other existing investors. And then because we're right at break even, any future rounds will really be for scaling and potentially some R&D. But we're looking at probably next year for that.
Cool. Do you see users combining Sensate with other technologies for soundscapes, or is that built into the app? I'm not super familiar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's built into the app. So because they're harmonized. So and I mean, that really, to me, needs no further explanation. If you listen to sound waves that are in dissonance, it doesn't you go like this, and like, yeah, harmonized sound waves is kind of a no-brainer for me. But anyway, so they are unhearable, but they are still harmonized. That's why it's one session, and you get a library with a lot of different sessions. We have, if you buy just a device, you get like 15 sessions, so you can use as many times as you like. You just don't get more than that variety. If you do the plus subscription, which is only $50 per year, you get a library of 50, 60 sessions. So in that, we keep adding there. So, but yeah, so it's like, that's how we recommend the full use case, and we will be working as well with partner composers that are able to work within the framework of music for downregulating of the nervous system, but also then compose with sub-audible, like Bach did, actually. There are some cathedrals that have sub-audible pipes. So that's sort of how we work with the composers and developing the soundscapes.
It's really cool. I'm personally an Endel user for, I think, 5 years now. I don't know if you're probably familiar with that. Soundscapes. Yeah, they've created some very cool. I think there's a lot that can be done. You bring up a really interesting point with composers and just how, yeah, when you tune into certain frequencies, it really can affect our mind, body, and soul in so many ways to improve our health. So really exciting. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, sound baths have become like a big thing. But also, like, when we used to listen to music live, we actually have the sound waves going through us and into our bodies, not just into our ears. So there is something like extremely natural in that concept as well.
What is, or Sam?
That's just such a good point. Yeah, because I mean, the emitter of the audio at a live event, and that kind of, I'm kind of thinking, it's like that's why live events are, very, I mean, for the social aspect, I'm sure, there's a lot going on there, but I think, even, I mean, that's one of the rare opportunities, a movie or a live event where, you have the sound equipment to, physically move you, in addition to the auditory, just having AirPods in without, or using Sensate, without the physical aspect of it. So I think that's the novelty, maybe, is what kind of makes it a little, kind of feeds into it. In addition to seeing, your favorite artists.
Well, I mean, like, the point is, like, it's not replacing live music. Like, go and see live shows. Go to live music. Like, everyone should go to live music and everyone should dance. But like, what it is also there are sonic therapy beds, infrasonic therapy beds. I mean, the point is, this is portable, and it actually uses the body's own chamber to create get the sound inside the body and the resonance field inside the body. So people use it on flights. People will sneak into the restroom and do a Sensate session, wherever people need it, before public speaking, whatnot. So it is also just like that tool that people can bring with you. You can't carry around a 10 grand bed, necessarily when you're traveling.
Yeah.
I'd love to learn more about the form factor. So, like, is there? But it looks kind of like a rock, a little bit.
We call it a pebble. Yeah.
A pebble. Yeah. Is there anything behind why it's shaped as it is?
Is there a real rock it was based off of from somewhere?
So I think there are a lot also sounds in the soundscapes that are from nature. So it is a lot of how do we bring nature in, and like, again, like, we're super promoters of go out in nature, do that. But like, this is a tool for the modern world. This is a tool that people need. Not everyone can go out and listen to birdsong, especially not if you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. So there is a lot of love of nature in our brand, and sort of both on the soundscape sound and making sure that we have shapes and forms that kind of, it's not like it's clearly designed to look like a device, but also like resemblance of a pebble. So it's just like acknowledging it as technology, and from both the perspective of the hardware and the software, but bringing in as much nature as we can. And I should mention my co-founder Stefan Kmelik, who started tinkering with this type of product. So he pioneered integrated healthcare in Europe, ran the biggest integrated healthcare clinic in the UK, famous. I knew who of the clinic long before we were introduced. And, what they found with they had a lot of people with quite complex stress and trauma related health conditions and chronic disease and all of that. And they've always had to look outside of Western medicine because they've already been to their normal doctor for years and they're desperate. So like and taking a very integrated approach to that. And they found that if there was one thing that was a common thread where the patient was successful in recovering, it was good vagal nerve tone. And that makes sense because poor vagal nerve tone means frequently triggering of the sympathetic state. And then you have all the havoc with suppressing immune system, suppressing digestive system, a lot of chemical chaos in the body, which is undermining the other interventions. It's undermining recovery and it's undermining the other interventions. And so that's where this came out of, because they found, interestingly as well, also that there was some time after the launch of smartphones where people really had a reduced attention span, and they would prescribe meditation and breath work, and the patient will come back and not have done it at all if it went from sort of 50% of patients having done it to 2. And from that, they were trying, testing, buying every device, like doing everything, and started tinkering with infrasonic waves and find that like, okay, this really works even with severe PTSD. And so from there, he started working on a prototype, and we got introduced because he's this amazing doctor, which means his like mind is very interconnected and understand complex interconnected systems. It's never run a tech company. And so I originally was just curious, and as I mentioned, both about real world applications of sound waves or sonic waves, but also just the field in general, the growing market and the very underserved market of stress reduction. So yeah, and then I realized that this was a absolutely unique product. I had never seen the level of long-term retention. It was 10x anything I'd seen. So then I ended up helping to raise money and co-founding the company, and here I am a few years in.
What's behind the name Sensate? When I first heard of it, I thought sense and then the number 8. But is there a connection? Like, is there a meaning of Sensate? Like, how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, no, it's just the word sensate, and it doesn't belong to 8. I know there was like a TV series, but obviously it has its roots in sensations and sensing, and this is a somacoustic device, so it's feelable, sensible sound waves. So it obviously comes from that root.
You're satiating your senses.
Yes.
It's a sense.
And actually, because I also in my breathwork certification read so much about trauma and how trauma is stored in the body. Amazing book, Waking the Tiger, if anyone wants to nerd out on that. And so one of the things which I think is very common knowledge right now is that in order to resolve that, we have to come into our bodies. We can't just be in our heads. And so talking therapy for PTSD and deep trauma is actually not very effective if you compare with some somatic practices, etc. So for me, it's very important that somatically, indirectly, you also actually feel your body when you're using the session, and so I can fully buy into the product. There is products where I'm like, okay, be good for this, but maybe not for that. Like, for example, I'm not a huge promoter of AR VR for mental health. I think there are cases when that makes sense, but the point is we're massively visually overstimulated. That's one of the problems, and that's why we try to close our eyes when we meditate and come inside and focus on parts of our body, focus on our breath. And so so there's a lot of tech where I'm like, okay, well, I buy into this, but caveat. And I feel like with Sensate, I just don't have a caveat. Like, it's, if people don't need it anymore, amazing. That's where we want to get to.
It's interesting you say that too. I wonder if there could be like a psychological or a physical addiction. I mean, I hate bringing it up. Sam knows this because we hate their privacy policy. We're huge privacy advocates here on the show, but I can't sleep without the sleep mattress that cools my
sleep.
bed. Yeah. I had one for 3 years. It broke for 6 months, and I was the worst sleep I'd ever gotten because my body had adjusted to the cooling. And I run hot, so there's multiple reasons why. Like, if you can sleep with, your temperature is just fine, then you are one of the lucky ones. But this was something that changed. Speaking of tech, that had changed my life in that way. But like, I think it is interesting because it could be easy to get addicted. I feel like we're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to scrolling. We're addicted to
Okay.
Can you get addicted to a technology like this?
Well, so here's the deal.
And it's not a bad technology.
No. It's a great question. That's a great question. So, can you get addicted to meditation? If you get addicted to meditation for some time, you'll come out on the other side. You see what I mean? I don't know anyone that got addicted to something that was regulating the nervous system and just kept doing that forever, insatiable. I think that so that I will answer also actually with our actual data. But I think that if you really need it and you use it intensely for a period of time, you need it. And so the point is, at a point where you have a regulated nervous system, you're not going to need your Sensate. I mean, that's what I say. That's where we want to get to. And interestingly, what we're seeing in the usage data is that that's exactly what's happening. But stress comes and goes in life. So we'll see that people use it like several times a day for 2 weeks, and then they don't use it for 2 weeks. And initially we're like, oh, they churned, which is normal. Oh no, they're back. So people are finding like this is a tool that when other things aren't working, or when I'm very stressed, or when I can't sleep, or for me, I use it when I'm traveling like crazy. And so that's the interesting thing. And they do this for years. Well, great. We're just a partner that is there on and off. And obviously, at some point, the whole of humanity is in a enlightened state, and none of us have any triggers, and we're all super relaxed in approximately 500 years. Hopefully, then a Sensate won't be needed at all. But like that's what I say. I can fully stand behind it because it doesn't really. That's the thing where like with visual stimulation and that can be like addictive because it's like it's triggering something else. But this is just it's like sound waves and getting into your body. There isn't like a negative side effect. And frankly, like if you don't feel tired, you don't feel stressed, you don't need to optimize your HRV, you don't need a Sensate. It's just a very small percentage of the population today that are in that place.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a bad addiction, but it's like, yeah, you're right. I think it's like a teacher, because like yoga, meditation, and breath work is a practice that there's apps and classes people can take in person or virtually. Yeah, no, I think it's a good example of technology doing something good that, you might not need forever, but right now, if you put it aside for 2 weeks and then, oh, wait, I was just traveling and now I need something to get me back into my flow state, they say. Do people still say that?
I think so. Yeah. But
like,
I want to point out
day or yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there are much more destructive ways to cope with stress. As far if someone is addicted to Sensate, great. And honestly, that's probably the best outcome because of all the things you could choose to do. I mean, all of the accessible, depending on where you live. I mean, ways to traditionally cope with stress. Considering the most popular way to do it is alcohol. It's the most toxic substance that you can go buy at 7-Eleven. I mean, I hope people are loving Sensate versus getting a 40 from the 7-Eleven to cope with stress. It's infinitely better. I mean, than that. So.
More of that for the person and also everyone around them. I mean, I think a lot about that as well, which is the ripple effect. And I mean, I'm so profoundly motivated about the mission, because if we look at like who we are as humans when we're dysregulated, the worst of us like fear-based survival. We don't care about our neighbors, only about ourselves. We snap at people around us, and it's just, we don't make rational decisions at all. And so for me, it's just like, we need to chill that out, because otherwise we can't co-live, we can't create great society, we can't parent well, we can't be in relationships. So for me, it's like so profound. It's like a baseline of being a functioning and thriving human. We need to have a regulated nervous system. So I'm very, very, like, very deeply motivated by helping as many people as possible on that path.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see soon with more research with the cortisol levels personally, because that's directly related to stress, and stress is directly related to longevity. And I feel like if people make a habit, and get addicted to like a Sensate session every day or week or whatever their cadence is, I feel like this could have the power to truly bring more years to our lives, because I think, creating awareness. The first step is awareness. I'm stressed out. I need a tool like Sensate to calm me down and help me get better sleep. I think that's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, I think we can already say that for sure. Like, we have all the proxy metrics anyway that relates to cortisol. So if you are able to, like, if you are able to regulate your nervous system, get your heart rate down and whatnot, that is going to impact your cortisol. We just haven't done a separate cortisol study. But like all the other biomarkers that are connected to cortisol, we've already validated. Yeah.
You're speaking to an obsessed tracker. I used to wear a CGM, and I would eat like, no shit, ice cream is gonna raise my blood sugar. So it was like, wait, you're speaking like, obviously there's correlations to what you do. So, but no, I feel like you guys are onto something really cool, and it's really cool what you've built, and really cool to hear the story and what's to come. Yeah, I can't wait to see. Is there anything, what are you most looking forward to this year, like with Sensate and just kind of the health tech industry coming back from CES? Did anything inspire you? Are you looking forward to something this year?
Yeah, it was actually very, very inspiring. There were kind of three big themes at CES this year, and it was AI, robotics, and then it was like wellness tech. And so huge attention of 540 companies, exhibiting, and just enormous footfall into the part of CES that was around digital health, wellness tech, longevity, age tech, all of that. And I have to say, like, CES is actually very encouraging. It's a lot of great innovation that really is preventative, because I think like that's kind of one of the trends, which is like, preventative versus reactive, right? And that finally is like a big deal. Like, no, we're done with just having mitigation when we're already too sick. We actually want preventative, and there's so much that is available there. Then I think another trend was this kind of like, okay, we got a gazillion trackers, now what? And so it's great for us because we're not a tracker, but we're the now what device. And so just kind of a bunch of things in that space. And then, just for the industry as well, we start to see some initiatives around like partnerships and ecosystems. So I'm very interested in that as well. For us, we're, always like endorsing anything in our industry and ecosystem. I think like we're definitely stronger together. And so it's a lot of interesting things happening in that space. I mean, for us, we're right at break even. So, just getting somewhere on our mission and with the company is super exciting. And just the topic of living healthy, because like longevity, like our actual lifespan, how long we live, is increasing, but our health span is decreasing. Like, we need to fix that. So I think there's a lot of really, really positive conversations and topics, and started out this year, at CES, very, very positive vibe, and very positive for the company as well.
Yeah, I think that's really, you bring up a good point about being proactive, because one thing obviously that is in the news all the time is GLP-1 medications as like a solution to, we've gained a lot of weight and we need to solve that. But it's like kind of on the flip side, it's like, okay, this might not be, a cheap device, right? Because also price is relative to so many people, but then you're preventing down the road needing medical attention and other medications and you know, again, reacting to, you know, bad habits and decisions. So I think hopefully this year more people focus on, you know, good habits that they can do to prevent things and focus on their health. Yeah, in a holistic way. Like there's a lot that people can be doing, and I don't think one solution is. I mean, again, it's kind of like you need to have that toolbox, and Sensate can be one tool that people use to improve their sleep, their stress. So it's really, really cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's fundamental. I mean, there's so much clinical research now also showing the direct link between unmanaged stress or poor sleep and dementia, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular issues. So it's definitely shortening your health span, and it's like even aging, like just skin. It was actually a fun anecdote use case I had not thought about. Found out in Vogue that the whole Barbie cast had used the product. So if you Google like Vogue Barbie Sensate, you'll find it. Because if you're going to have this perfect glow, you can't be stressed, because stress immediately shows on your skin. I hadn't thought about that use case, but so it's just the nervous system regulation. I think it's going to become this year also something that is a no-brainer in terms of how we look after our health. We talked a lot about gut health. We talked a lot about obviously physical health, protein. Like there's a lot of that, but like nervous system health. I mean, it's the communication in our body. We just have to get on top of that.
Cool. Yeah, the next big like celebrity that uses the product could, like, I mean, there's probably people already like that are doing
there
this.
Are.
Yeah.
Call me, please. We need help.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and coming on. We'd love to have you back in the future to catch up and follow up. We really appreciate it. It's super exciting what you're building with Sensate. And Sam, any other follow-ups?
Well, no, I found the Vogue article. So to have a Margot Robbie endorsement, indirectly, I guess, but still, I mean, all of the Barbies use the Sensate.
That's really cool. That's really cool to hear. I bet. Yeah. Wow. Really cool.
Random.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on. And
thank you so much.
Episodes are launching every Tuesday. So stay tuned to techtalklive.xyz. Signing off for this week.